If you're interested in peak physical and mental performance, this is for you. When I was at school, I was told that I wasn't very smart and I should work with my hands. They were right. I thought school was a waste of my time, but what I didn't understand is that I had my biology working against me rather than working for me. I was handicapped and I had no clue. I wish I had known this a long time ago, but I'm so glad and blessed that I know it now and that my kids have access to this information because they're kicking ass in life. And my grandkids are going to do the same. This video will shine a torch on how you can enhance your genetics. And to get to that place, it's going to be a bit of a journey. This video will take about probably 20 minutes. And again, if you're interested in peak physical and mental performance, this is for you. I don't want to leave anything to chance. I've got a big game to play. I want to create wealth for my family. I want to kick ass and feel good. Now, the gurus, God love them, they'll tell you to push and fight and struggle. That's not entirely accurate. What these gurus have that we don't is that they've got more than likely elite genetics or great genetics. Now, for me, mine aren't so good, and here's why. Up the top here, when it comes to stress, I'm in the 82nd percentile. What that simply means is when my body puts its foot down to make stress hormones, it does. It makes stress hormones faster and in larger quantities. So I'm handicapped there because when stress hormone goes up, it depletes energy, brain resources, and testosterone. And when it comes to fatigue, I'm in the 79th percentile. And at 50, I've never felt better. You've just got to get out of energy flux. And I've made another video about that. And when it comes to anxiety, holy shit. When I was in my early 30s, I had a heart attack. Terrifying. It was 2 days after Christmas. My wife rushed me to the hospital. The nurses and doctors thought I was having a heart attack. And they wheeled me away, and clearly I'm still here. And the doctor said to me, "We did all the blood work, Mark. You didn't have a heart attack." I'm like, "What? What the hell happened?" He said you had a panic attack. He explained it to me, and it's stress hormones through the roof. So that's my stress physiology, genetics, and anxiety, 98th percentile. Now, you can get this right. You don't have to live with anxiety. You just haven't figured this out yet, as it was for me. Now, my good friend, Dr. J is such an awesome dude. He's a genetic expert that works at the Mayo Clinic. He did his PhD on hormones. So when he speaks, I listen. And he said to me, some people have got elite genetics and they don't seem to miss a beat. Maybe this is the gurus out there, right? They've got really elite genetics. They've won the genetic lottery. I don't have that. Then you got people with great genetics. You know, they do pretty well. However, they get to 70 and 80, the energy starts coming down and the hormones tank. Then you got people with average genetics. They start tapping out around about 30 to 40. The energy comes down, the hormones come down. And we're told by mainstream, not the peak performance specialists, but mainstream, that this is just what happens in life. Again, that's not entirely accurate. Now, Dr. J explained to me that we've got these SNPs on our genes and we can enhance them. They're called single polymorphisms. And some of these genes, these SNPs, work fast, some work average, some work slow. So my fast genes here for stress, we can slow them down. And my genes that need speeding up, we can speed them up. That is when we know how to do this. So stick with me. I'm going to shine the torch on how you can enhance your genetics. And it's not difficult. It just requires a bit of time and expertise. Now, just to show you here, I'm also carbohydrate intolerant. So that pushes up insulin. And why is that a problem? Right here. Insulin resistance, which means insulin is just up too high, too long, shuts off production of testosterone on this research paper here, but it gets worse. Elevated insulin increases hunger, tiredness, heightened perceived pleasantness for sweet taste, and increased food intake. Does that seem like this is happening to you? But what I also didn't know is that I didn't perform very well at school at all. I couldn't focus. So listen to this conversation Dr. J and I had about that. I'll just ensure that I've optimized for sound. Listen to this. It'll blow your mind.
So, yeah. And the brain doesn't handle carbs too well. So, yeah.
Right. I think every client we've had today has had poor carb tolerance with their brain, which is interesting because
it's such a shame, because imagine the kids at school that have the same genetics, they just can't perform at school.
Right. You can't focus. Yeah.
No.
So could this be you? Or what about your children? Now, another video from Dr. J.
Yeah. And intermittent fasting helps with both of these genes and keeping inflammation down.
Yeah.
And again, how do you keep inflammation down? Well, you keep the carbs down
predominantly. Yeah. They drive in. So glucose above 4.7 drives inflammation and cortisol up. Correct. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's so important for people to understand. Right. And scientists have known this for quite some time. Right here, where I've just clicked on and circling around. Scientists, when they do their fancy lab tests to induce oxidative stress, they use glucose because it's toxic to all of our cells when it's too high, too long. And when you've got insulin resistance, and it's estimated that 80% of the population have some form of insulin resistance. We're tired, insulin is up, we store more fat, it's hard to lose weight, our brain doesn't work properly. And if you've got bad brain genetics for carbs, it's tough, right? I mean, it's hard. And these gurus, they say, what's wrong with you? Push and fight. And that pushes up stress hormones, and that brings down the very hormones we need to have an unfair advantage. Check this out. So this is everything that inhibits sex hormone production on the left here. So you got two pathways. To the right, you got the kisspeptin pathway. To the left, dynorphin. We won't discuss kisspeptin today. It's out of the scope. But right here, you've got 5 levels of inhibition. So if you've got too much estrogen, progesterone or testosterone, then you shut down. And this can be estrogen-like endocrine disrupting chemicals. Now, I've got another video on this. And in about a week, maybe less, I'm going to give you an elimination plan for these toxic chemicals. We'll just park that for now. Then inflammation, you shut down. And that too high inflammation. Inflammation is good when you've got it at the right levels because it's going to signal growth. But too high, too long, that's the problem. Then you've got stress, environmental stress, these estrogen-like endocrine disrupting chemicals. Then you've also got cortisol. It's going to shut you down. So if you're sitting in traffic and you're pissed off, guess what's happening? You're crushing yourself. You've really got to have a growth mindset. And I'll speak a little bit more about how you can do that at the end of this. And incidentally, about a year ago, 6 months ago, I thought I had a growth mindset. And it wasn't until I worked with some of these peak performance specialists that I realized, well, shit, I need to fix this. Because I'll be damned if I want to be spewing out cortisol because I've got a weak mindset. I've got a big game to play, similar to you. And you just can't be getting stressed out for no reason. We have to fix this. A growth mindset is how you do that. Drugs, well, of course. I mean, it just goes without saying. Then the metabolism. So if you've got leptin resistance or you've got insulin resistance, then, we don't have enough to go around. Now, here's the important thing to understand. Please listen carefully. Testosterone and sex hormones, growth hormone, thyroid hormone, they're a luxury. If you're stressed out, you're not making those important hormones. You're handicapped. How do you know? How do you feel? At the end of the day, is your energy up and down? Are you mentally and physically drained? How do you feel? You got to look back and you can see the truth, and you can fix this. And it's not difficult. It just takes a bit of time and effort. So if you're willing to put in the effort and stay the course of time, then you can get there. And again, at the end, I'll just tie this all together. Now, what I was blown away with when I was speaking to Dr. J and Dr. Amy B. Keelan, testosterone has plummeted ever since the 1940s. For a dude my age, 50, it's gone from 800, average 800 to 350. And the biggest and fastest plummet of this important hormone for men, but it's also important for the ladies, started to happen in 1987, this research paper here. Now, in that time period, we still were producing a lot of testosterone. 550 was the average. And we were still relatively lean. But look at 2018. We're tired, we're fatter, we're sicker, we're struggling with stress. So this vicious cycle keeps repeating itself. And that's not fun, and you can fix this. And inflammation, as you can see on this research paper, and don't sweat this, you can fix this. So when you've got inflammation, it inhibits this pathway here, which I was just on, right? This pathway right here, and you've got inflammation, as we've already discussed. And it leads to, it's a big predictor of frailty, disability, and cardiovascular events. So it's a pretty big deal. And this is slowly dropping your testosterone over time and leading to hypogonadism. So adverse effects of low testosterone. Penis, prostate, and testes, they're actually shrinking. But you can fix this. The new cutting edge science can shine the torch on how you can do that. Now, when I first started to work with Dr. J, I was blown away, and it absolutely floored me. Listen to this conversation that Dr. J and I didn't have the beard back then either, but anyway.
And my age, I'm 49, so I guess mine should be around about 800 if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the most doctor, if you get below 500, I think it's a big problem. Better fix it, like immediately. Yeah. I agree. If you're 800, that's awesome. If you're 1,000, that's super awesome.
Yeah. So, when you're above 500, you're pretty safe. You're not going to be scaling down, so to speak. But, that shows you clearly here that it's not your fault. And in about a week, I'll give you that elimination plan to get rid of these chemicals because they're shutting us down. They actually cause insulin resistance. So when I put out that video, I'll walk you through that. But again, we can fix this. As men, we want to play a big game. I want to be the hero in my family's life. I want my kids to look to me as the hero, not someone else. I want them to see that you can go at life and create wealth and happiness and all of those things that we should be able to do. But if we're struggling like the gurus say to do, we're pushing up cortisol and we feel apathetic and tired, and we tell ourselves a bullshit story about how when my life gets easier, then I can put in the work. Let me tell you, life doesn't get easier. You either get stronger every day or life beats you down. And remember, we're declining energy and hormones. And this is leading to hypogonadism. We have to fix this, and you can. It's not too difficult. But again, it requires effort and time. If you're serious about this, then you can certainly become a peak performing human. Now, right here, my whole philosophy in life is I don't know every fucking thing, and I'm no expert, okay? I'm the bridge from getting from where you are to where you want to be. I've had to do this. I've had to reach out to these people and learn how to put this together, and that's what I've done. I don't want to leave anything to chance. I want to know mechanistically the steps to get to that place. I don't know about you. I'm just hungry for life. I've got passion. This life is beautiful. But if we're struggling, how was that possible? Remember, we're pushing up the very hormones that make us feel like shit, apathetic, and paradoxically, they're bringing down the hormones that help us punch it and crush it. So, we can fix this. You can fix this. And it really comes down to who you listen to, right? Mainstream. Is what you're doing working now? Ask yourself that question. Look back. Is it working? Or maybe, just maybe, there's new cutting edge science out there. Listen to this conversation Dr. J and I had.
It's going to be pretty hard to produce testosterone in and of itself. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've done studies. I was giving a talk for the Special Forces in America recently. These guys at that level, they're going for optimal. They're not messing around,
No, we should be going for optimal too. Like I know.
Right. So it just depends on who you listen to. Now, I'll be damned if I'm going to listen to mainstream. I want to perform. I want to be happy. I want to kick ass. I want to have a productive, highly efficient day. I want to work harder. I want to work smarter, not harder. And we can when we listen to these experts. Again, I'm no expert. I'm just hungry and passionate to kick ass in life, to play a big game. Now, if that's you, you can do this. You can get to that place, but it requires effort, which leads me to this. Testosterone, one of its major effects is that it makes effort feel good. But there's 3 more steps to be able to achieving that at a very high level. Now, one of the things we need to understand is that grit is the biggest predictor in success. This is coming from leading psychologists, right? Angela Duckworth wrote a book about this. It's called Grit. So you could check that book out. It is fantastic. Will Smith is in it. Well, he's not in it, but his philosophy is that, if I'm getting on a treadmill and you're getting on a treadmill, 2 things are going to happen. Either you're getting off or I'm going to die. And that's what grit is all about. So we can punch it. We can train ourselves to make effort feel good. So testosterone's a player, but so is the mindset. And the scientists have shown us mechanistically the steps to get to that place. It requires 3 more things, again, which is out of the scope of this conversation here today. So testosterone, this is coming from the new research. Now, as we know, it's going to keep us lean and muscular, but we're more interested in what's going to do for our brain, right? I learned from Professor Sapolsky, the great Professor Sapolsky, that testosterone is a status hormone. So what does that mean? It makes you do whatever it takes to maintain and increase status. Now, if your status is about helping people and getting to a place in life where you're just charging at life, you're happy and you're that kind of person, think about it. That's what testosterone's molding your personality over time to do. But if we're stressed and bumping up those stress hormones, Sapolsky said, listen carefully, that stress hormones foster negative emotion like burnout, guilt, hostility, self-doubt. And our brain arcs up and tells us a bullshit story about how when our life gets easier, then it'll be all right. I'll put in the work. But all that's happening is we're just declining. We have to fix that, and you certainly can. Testosterone in our brain lowers fear and anxiety, increases courage, confidence, and optimism. Now, we've got to have this hard-hitting hormone working for us rather than against us. If it's coming down, stress is going up, and it's difficult. But as Huberman said, Professor Huberman, you can search for him here on YouTube, that one of its primary and significant effects on your brain is to make effort feel good. And that works with status, right? You want to punch it. You want to get up and charge at life. But if you've got bad genetics like I have, you've got to mechanistically know what to do. So testosterone, if it's low, we're going to be bowing our head and, dragging our feet. Our brain's going to be saying, oh, when our life gets easier, yeah. No, you've got to get stronger today. You've got to put in the effort today. You've got to decide that this far, no further. You've got to draw a line in the sand and decide that this is it. I'm going to step up and do what it takes. I want to be one of those gurus. I want to be the hero in my children's life. This is so important to get right. You got to have your biology working for you rather than against you. Otherwise, you're fighting and struggling. So you've got to stack the odds in your favor. If it's low, it's tough. If it's high, energy and courage is working for you. And critically, your brain is being molded and shaped to become that person over time. Yeah, it's requires effort and work to fix this, but you can double your testosterone from about 350 to 600 in as little as 6 weeks. I've helped men do this. So the very last video I want to show you here is that these chemicals in the next video that I'll speak to, we've got it, they're coming out of your fat cells, your organs, and guess what they're doing? Listen to this conversation that Dr. J and I had.
More than your fat cells.
Oh yeah, all of them, a lot of them.
All of them. All right. So let me just create this scenario. So you've decided that you want to lose weight, and you've decided to do that. You start losing a bit of body fat, and all these estrogens are liberated into the fat cells. And I saw a research paper that you showed that some human fat cells have got, I think, 16,000, is that right, nanograms in the fat cells.
Oh,
so
yeah.
basically, you're flooding your blood with all this estrogen. What's going to happen then? Testosterone, free testosterone goes down. So your brain doesn't work properly. It's like, you lose your will to do the diet, and it makes muscle preservation harder. It makes fat loss harder. It makes everything harder. And you're fighting this, trying to lose weight, and you've got all these estrogens being flooded into the system. Is that a fair call?
Oh yeah, you got it exactly. I mean, I can tell you read the book carefully. I appreciate that, and that's a huge epiphany, even for me when I was kind of going through this process and learning about this, writing the book. And the average life of a fat cell is 1.5 years, which they've discovered from these atomic bomb studies. Where people got exposed to radiation, but they found fat cells that can survive in your body 10 years. And so if you're loading up these fat cells with all these estrogen chemicals, and so if you're loading the fat cells with estrogen chemicals, those chemicals are sitting in the cell saying, hey, hang on to fat, don't get rid of fat, right? So on top of all this problems with demotivation, with empathy, all that stuff you talked about with lower testosterone, which is true, then the fat cells also don't want to get rid of the fat. And then even if they do, they're, it's dumping more of this blood, and it's just a vicious cycle. So it causes a lot of weight gain plateaus, and that's where the sauna actually comes in. People look for practical ideas to accelerate this.
So as you can see there, weight loss plateaus makes you feel apathetic. Does it sound familiar? Because what is also happening is that we discussed this at the beginning of the video here, but it's shutting down testosterone production. So when these chemicals are out critically mimicking estrogen, it's shutting down testosterone production, which is leading to hypogonadism over time. So this is why a large majority of the male population has this problem, and you can fix it. So two things to finish on here. I'm going to just walk you through what you can do to enhance your genetics. And on the next video, I'm going to give you access to an elimination plan that you can follow to get rid of these chemicals once and for all. How does that sound? Now, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Join in the conversation below. It helps me reach other men because I want to help as many men as I can charge at life. Are you that man? You want to charge at life? So join in the conversation, give it a thumbs up, share it if you like, because we can fix this. We can fix this. I have, the people I help, they've fixed this, and you can too. So what you can do to enhance your genetics, there's many companies out there, and you order a DNA kit. Step number one, the kit comes to you, you spit in it, then you send it back, they do your DNA. Now, the biggest problem that I found is I did that about 2.5 years ago. And what I found frustrating, absolutely frustrating, was that they'll give you a report on something that contradicts another report, and you're left scratching your head. You're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So that led me to Dr. J, right? So he can absolutely mechanistically, from the top of your head all the way down to your feet, he can show you all of these things to enhance your genetics very simply. So I can help you with that. There should be information in the caption below, or you can certainly reach out to Dr. J, whichever you want to do. He is awesome. Now, if you want to play a big game, let me just quickly show you here that I've got what I call Rebuild and Thrive. So it's a complete program that mechanistically shows you how to do this. But I also go a bit deeper. I show you how to train a growth mindset. Now, remember, a year, 6 months ago, I thought I had a growth mindset. I didn't. It wasn't until I worked with other performance specialists that I actually found out what to do mechanistically to train in a true growth mindset. And we also give you other things to eliminate cravings and just take the guesswork out. So if you're interested in that conversation, there should be information below where you can go and watch a video overview of the Rebuild and Thrive method. And if you want to have a conversation with me about taking it to the next level and getting there as fast as humanly possible, I can help you with that. So what I generally do is give you a plan that I call the 5 phases of the day. So phase 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I give you tools that you can choose from to get to that place. So that's the very first step that I help people with. And again, it's called the Rebuild and Thrive method. And yeah, if you want to have it all figured out for you, I can work with Dr. J on your behalf and get you to that place, so you can reach out to Dr. J. But, it's just about getting to the next level. And that's why I've built a ladder system. So each of these is a training that you go through and you check off what you've done. You get this, plug it into your life, and away you go. I make it as simple as possible. So if you're interested in that, certainly information in the caption, reach out to me and we can have a conversation about that. So I'm hungry for life. My name is Mark Guy. If you want to play a big game, I can help you with that. So there it is. Time to play a big game.